Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times. Today I feel like very much cat lady, but you know, I'm embracing that side of me and I'm not ashamed to say I'm a cat lady 24/7.
It's coffee time.
So every year Valentine's Day comes around. Now for me, Valentine's Day has really no meaning. I don't celebrate it, but it does come around every year and you are bombarded with advertisements and with people celebrating it, which to each their own. You know, you have fun that day, enjoy it with your partner, but I'm somebody that I don't celebrate Valentine, and every year I just try to give it a horror twist in order for me to enjoy it. And this year we have the 48 hours EvilAthon this weekend on the 13th and 14th of February. So remember, if you have not joined yet, I'm gonna leave down below the announcement video so you can check it out. And I thought I would recommend you today some books and some movies in which people have taken love and fascination a little bit too far. So I've only made a list of 4 books and 4 movies that I wanted to recommend to you guys. Before we jump into those, if you love horror and books, you're in the right place. Please consider subscribing to the channel before you leave and also hit the notification bell. Let's start with our first recommendation. So here we are going to be talking about people that are disturbed. They are mentally not all there and they take their love and fascination for young girls to another level. So for this category, very disturbing kind of obsession, we have Dollhouse by John Hunt. When I started this book, I was expecting it to be messed up, but I didn't expect it to be as bad as it was. I mean, bad when it comes to how gruesome it gets, how violent it gets, how graphic, but I loved the story. We follow Olivia. She is finally going to start her first year in college and she's really excited, and the first night at campus she decides to walk back to her room in the middle of the night and she's being taken by 2 men that kidnap her and take her with them in a van, and she remains kidnapped and missing for years while her dad is trying to find her. So that is basically what I can tell you. That is the introduction of the story, but from that, I mean, when the book started I was like, oh, this is messed up, but that was just like the tip of the iceberg. It got so dark and so gruesome, so this is definitely not for the faint of heart. And I think I have said this before, but when I read this book, it reminded me of a movie that I also didn't know what to expect when I got into it, and I ended up loving it more than I thought, and that is Ghostland, in other countries known as Incident in a Ghostland, from 2018. In the movie we follow a mother that inherits her aunt's home and she decides to move there with her 2 daughters. Now there had been some talking in the neighborhood about, you know, some kind of like robberies and things like that, and fair enough, they are attacked the first night that they spend in this house, and then the story takes off years after the events when one of the daughters decides to come back to this house and discovers what really happened that day. That's all I'm gonna tell you. But again, this was very disturbing, really messed up, and it also involves fascination and obsession with young women. So these two are a lot more similar than you would think at first sight, and yeah, definitely for you if you love really disturbing, messed up stories. In the second spot here we have a book about a mother who thinks she's doing the right thing, but is she really, and which consequences is that going to have? For this I have picked Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews, and trigger warnings here for incest and rape. I thought I had to say it. So in this book we follow a family and the father dies in a car accident all of a sudden, and the mother is left with her children without any money and nowhere to go. So she decides to go back to her father's house and kind of beg for forgiveness so that he would help her financially. But the father doesn't really like these children, so the mother decides, I'm gonna put them in the attic and not tell my dad about it until he's ready to accept them into the family. So the story is very slow paced, but it just gets darker and darker as you progress and you discover, you know, how the children are living in the attic and all of this. It is really messed up. And it gets to the point where it might not be for everybody, because like I said, it does have some big trigger warnings, but I enjoy the story and I love to see the character development, especially in the children side, and how everything developed in the attic. So yeah, I just thought it was really fascinating. Of course, for the movie there is an adaptation of Flowers in the Attic, but that would have been too easy. So for this I have actually picked a recent release. It came out in 2020 and it's also about a mother that really thinks she's doing the right thing, and that is Run from 2020. This is a psychological thriller in which a mother is trying to protect her daughter from the world. Chloe has been born with a lot of like physical problems and asthma. She's in a wheelchair, so she's always been like on medication and therapy, and the mother has always been really overprotective of her. And now it's time for Chloe to apply to college, and she starts to realize that her mother might be keeping a big secret from her. So this is again a story in which a mother thinks that she's doing the right thing, but the truth is really dark and messed up. Now this is a movie that you can see some of the things coming, is a little bit predictable, but the performances of Sarah Paulson and Kira, which is the girl in the wheelchair who is also disabled in real life, like she is in a wheelchair, the performances were just so strong that they carry the whole movie. And even though you see things coming, you're just so, you know, fascinated by the story and by the characters that you're definitely gonna love this film. In number 3, we are going to go again to disturbed people that are obsessed with young girls. And in this case I have here for you The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. I used to own the book, but I was not the biggest fan of the book. I was kind of more in love with the movie, so I decided to read the book and then pass it on, so I don't have it with me anymore. But this is the story of Susie Salmon, who was murdered in the 70s, and when the movie starts you hear her talking to you from heaven. So she's basically telling you the story of what happened to her, how she got killed, who killed her, what happened to her, and it is just so heartbreaking, and it's just such a great exploration of grief, but it's going to be really intense for some people. And I absolutely loved the movie so much. I also enjoyed the book, but for me it was not as powerful as the movie was. So if you have read the book already, definitely check out the movie. So here actually I would like to recommend you a movie that is also based on a book from 2009 by Gail Forman, and the movie came out in 2014, and that is If I Stay. We follow again the story of a young girl that in this case is talking to us from kind of a limbo. Mia had an accident and she is currently in a coma in the hospital, and we get to see her telling us the reasons why she should wake up and stay, or the reasons why she would rather just let go and move on to heaven. And I absolutely love both the book and the movie here as well. And even though Mia is not dead and telling you the story from heaven, it is kind of similar because you're getting to see the thoughts that Mia has, the reasons why she should stay, why she should not, and what happened the day of the accident, what happened before that. And I absolutely loved also this exploration of grief. And for our last recommendation, I have The Stalker, the guy that gets obsessed and just cannot let go. And for that I have chosen You by Caroline Kepnes. We follow the story of Joe, who works in a bookstore, and one day this girl comes in and he falls in love with her, and he already knows it's gonna be the love of his life. And this book is told from the mind of Joe, so you get to see, like, to hear his thoughts all the time, and he slowly but surely takes control of Beck's lives. And it is a really interesting exploration of manipulation and how we get people to do what we want, how we tweak things in people's lives to make them you know, change their perspective. And sometimes not physical abuse, but this kind of like psychological abuse that you don't see coming when you are the victim, like in this case Beck. I think it's just so fascinating to explore, and I really love that the book was told from the perspective of Joe, and really through his mind, the thoughts that he was having, how he was rationalizing things that are not rational. Like, I really loved it. As for the movie that I have chosen to pair with this book, it's a movie that I don't know if so many people have watched or know about, and that is 1 Hour Photo from 2002. Very similar to You. We have here somebody that works in a store. This time we have Seymour that develops photographs at a department store, and he already looks like a weirdo, and he gets obsessed with a family that always takes their pictures there to get developed, and his obsession starts to get a little bit out of hand when he starts to be suspicious about the husband and that he might be having an affair. So he's kind of like really obsessed with this family that it's bringing the pictures there to be developed. And this was also another great exploration of the creeper, the stalker character, and I really loved it, and I don't hear too many people talking about this movie, so it deserves a lot of love. Alright you guys, I hope you enjoyed this short video about, you know, loves and passions and obsessions that get a little bit out of hand, that are a little bit unhealthy, sometimes illegal, you know. And I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. I can definitely make that happen. If you also know of other disturbing stories that involve love that has been taken too far, love that actually kills, let me know down below in the comments. Let's talk about it. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Please remember to give the video a big thumbs up for support, and if you want to follow me in other social media, as always the links are down below, and I hope to see you all guys in the next coffee time. Bye.